Before the arrival of Islam, the Arabian Peninsula was inhabited by a society that lived under a strong tribal system. Their way of life was divided into two main groups: the Bedouins, who lived a nomadic lifestyle in the desert, and the city dwellers, who settled in fertile areas. The Bedouins relied on camel and goat herding and engaged in trade with other tribes. Meanwhile, urban societies in cities, such as Mecca and Yathrib, were more developed in trade and had a more complex social structure. However, in general, there was no central government governing this region, so law and justice largely depended on tribal customs and strength. The religious beliefs of the Arabian society at that time were polytheistic, with many tribes worshipping various gods and spirits they believed protected their tribes. Mecca became a spiritual center, with the Kaaba serving as a place to store hundreds of idols from different tribes. Besides polytheism, there were also groups that adhered to other religions such as Judaism, Christianity, and Zoroastrianism, which were present in various regions, particularly in major cities. Despite having sacred places like the Kaaba, there was no single belief that unified Arabian society. Socially, pre-Islamic Arabian society was highly patriarchal. Men held dominant positions, and the tribal chiefs had absolute authority over their groups. Women had very few rights and were often treated as property, sometimes even used as marriage transactions or war spoils. One of the most brutal practices was the burial of female infants alive, carried out by some tribes who considered daughters a disgrace or an economic burden. The economy of pre-Islamic Arabia was dominated by trade, especially in cities such as Mecca and Yathrib. Mecca, as the main trading hub, became a meeting point for merchants from various regions who brought goods from Africa, Persia, and India. Additionally, the practice of usury was widespread in financial transactions, where moneylenders charged high interest rates that often burdened borrowers. These economic activities further strengthened the status of the merchant elite and widened social inequalities in society. Tribal conflicts were common due to the absence of written laws regulating social life. Disputes often led to intertribal wars that lasted for years and were passed down from generation to generation. Revenge was a fundamental value in resolving conflicts, and a single murder could escalate into a larger cycle of killings. This created an endless cycle of violence, making social stability in the Arabian Peninsula extremely fragile. On the other hand, some regions in Arabia, especially in the south, such as Yemen, were more developed than the northern regions. The Himyarite kingdom, for example, had a more structured government system and served as a center of trade and culture. However, the influence of major empires like Byzantium and Persia also affected the political dynamics of the region, as some tribes allied with or submitted to foreign powers for economic benefits and military protection. With social injustice, economic disparity, and endless tribal conflicts, Arabian society was in a state of instability. When Islam emerged in the 7th century AD, the teachings brought by Prophet Muhammad introduced significant changes in the social, economic, and spiritual aspects of Arabian society. Islam promoted equality, social justice, and tribal unity, gradually transforming the Arabian Peninsula into a more structured and progressive civilization.